Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. For the last 2 days, we've been featuring this really cool team with Pokemon like Noivern, Dhelmise, and Choice Band Rhyperior, so we'll be playing one more episode with it today. Once again, you can learn more details about this team in the description below. I actually failed to mention that we went up against the original creator of this team just a couple of days ago. It was the episode featuring a Dynamax Noivern, as you may have imagined, so that was really cool to see. And the original creator was actually able to get to number 1 on the ladder with this team as well. So props to them, and thank you to them once again for making this team public and sharing it. It's been a lot of fun to play with, and definitely very different from a lot of the teams that we've seen in Series 6 thus far. So let's get into today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what your go-to fast food order is. Completely unrelated to Pokemon, but mine would definitely have to be McDonald's, a McChicken, fries, and a small Coke. So let me know in the comments below as we look for our first opponent today. I hope everyone's been enjoying Series 6. You know, we've been playing it for a couple of weeks now, and I think it's been an absolute blast. A lot of cool teams. All these episodes recently have been pretty crazy. So yeah, let's get into it. First game of the day, pretty standard stuff here actually with Talonflame Hyper Offense. So I have to definitely respect Talonflame Dracozolt. I'm expecting it to be Dark Urshifu as well, which is not very good for us to go up against. Normally when I see Talonflame with this team, I feel inclined to lead Urshifu because Noivern Rhyperior just doesn't function nearly as well. For example, if my opponent leads Talonflame Primarina and we lead Noivern Rhyperior, we probably just lose immediately. So normally against these comps, like I go Urshifu Dusclops and try to set up Trick Room with the Vanillux. Or sorry, with the Dusclops. I was thinking about having Vanillux in the back. I think Rhyperior is the last one. What's always frustrating about these is like if they don't lead Talonflame, normally the Dracozolt plus the Rhyperior combination is super good. But yeah, if my opponent just leads Talonflame Primarina, I'm in a lot of trouble. So I have to play around that specifically. So let's get into the first game today. As you all have seen, games with this team go by very quickly, and that's just kind of the nature of Hyper Offense, where you either just pick up big surprise knockouts that your opponent doesn't expect immediately and, you know, get so ahead in the game, or you kind of just get surprise KO'd like we have in the previous games. It's going to be Talonflame Dracozolt, but I actually don't mind that too much, because what I can do here is just go for Surging Strikes, Sharp Beak, and AV. Okay, AV is really good information to know. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to Surging Strikes into Talonflame and just Trick Room here. I think it's likely Talonflame probably goes for Taunt onto Dusclops and maybe Max Lightning onto Urshifu. So the question is whether I want to predict that actually. Oh, I could go ahead into Rhyperior here, which would also eat up a Max Lightning. They might Wormwind, but I actually kind of like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to Surging Strikes and just hard switch into the Rhyperior turn 1, because I think my opponent's play here is to just taunt Dusclops. I'd be shocked if he didn't. And I can make this play with relative confidence because a Brave Bird isn't going to knock out my Urshifu anyway. So, yeah. And if my opponent does go for a Max Lightning and they whiff the Lightning into Rhyperior, then we just get a free knockout while not getting taunted and get a free switch into Rhyperior, all which would be very good things. Now, however, I expect Primarina to be in the back for my opponent, so if I KO the Talonflame, I'd probably have to switch the Rhyperior out, but if we can even waste the turn of Dynamax here, that'd be huge. So I expect Dracozolt to max. They did not max, wow. And they did not go for a taunt. Okay. So that definitely means Aerial Ace coming out from the Dracozolt, in my opinion. It's not really terrible news, though. Like, I still knock out Talonflame, and this is why I made that play. It kind of covered for every option. So we knock out Talonflame, but it is frustrating because I could have stayed in with Dusclops, gone for Trick Room. They probably would have even given me a free switch in under Trick Room, and we'd be in a really commanding spot. No, they went for Bolt Beak. Huh. So, are you not Hustle then? Why would you risk it there then? That's interesting. That's Urshifu coming out too. Okay. Huh. Water Urshifu, which means Dusclops. It's a pretty good spot against this. I mean, I think we have to switch the Rhyperior out right now into Dhelmise. Rhyperior out into Dhelmise. My opponent's probably going to Surging Strikes that slot, and we give up Urshifu, so we get a free switch into Dusclops, ideally, I think. That's what I want to go for right now. I could also just close combat the Zolt. Zolt might actually be a little scarier right now, because I don't know what... Like, Urshifu doesn't threaten what I have in the back that much. So yeah, that's actually close combat the... Oh, actually, the reason to get rid of Urshifu is because Rhyperior hard beats the Dracozolt. So, okay. I'm going to Surging Strikes here, switch Rhyperior out into Dhelmise. Not the turn one I expected, and I'm a little upset because if I stayed in and just clicked Trick Room, we would have been golden. So my opponent didn't really make a play to counteract the Trick Room there, which I'm honestly surprised by. But let's see. They also didn't Dynamax Dracozolt, so like I ended up baiting the Electric type attack in, but I really thought they would Dynamax there. Surprised they kind of just risked the Bolt Beak. So Zolt is gonna max it this time around. Dalmice is a decent matchup against it, but obviously it could have max Airstream, which we'll have to watch out for. Winning a potential speed tie here would be huge, but they go first, unfortunately. Okay, that's a little frustrating because we get a lot of damage off with CC, but I honestly don't think they can one-shot... Oh, unless they max Lightning here, but that would be a crazy play. Yeah, they just Wormwind. Because now I can just bring out Dusclops. That is so much damage, though. I can bring out Dusclops and obviously just, like, Trick Room. But... at what cost? Because also, who do I max at this point, right? Like, Dalmice is not really in a great position to max. Scarf and okay, so then that wasn't even a speed tie. Which means though that the Urshifu is completely useless there and is forced to switch out. Which is great. Okay, so we can Trick Room here. I really wonder if we max here. Because then I can Phantasm in the last turn, which sets up for Earthquake to just beat everything. Yeah, I'm going to Trick Room, max. And you know what we can do, actually? We can also go for Self-Pain Split to heal back. That's another option. So we know Urshifu is choiced. Wait, what? I guess they forfeited there because they were like, they didn't have a Amoonguss in the back, and I'm guessing Primarina was the last one. And they were like, there's just no way I win this, but I feel like that was kind of premature. So AV Zolt, max speed, did have Aerial Ace. I just don't understand the Bolt Beak turn 1. And it was Hustle too, like why risk the miss there? I guess they were going for it onto Dusclops, but I don't think that's a one-hit KO, so I don't know. I'm surprised my opponent didn't like double up into Dusclops with the Brave Bird and the Bolt Beak. Because if you just go for regular Bolt Beak, I guess that makes some sense because it does more than max Lightning. But surprised my opponent wanted to risk the miss there. It was Goggles, Primarina, Focus Sash, Amoonguss. Obviously Scarf on the Urshifu and Sharp Beak. With Taunt as well. And Feint. Wow, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand their turn 1 play, honestly. Because they had Taunt. I just feel like it was never the most optimal play. But it ended up actually working out pretty well for them. So, yeah. But I don't think they really needed to forfeit there, to be honest. I mean, we were actually going to be in pretty good shape because Urshifu was Choice Lock. So if their last one was Primarina, then yeah, if we maxed our Trick Room, we're in pretty good shape because then Banned Urshifu just comes out and clicks EQ. Sorry, Banned Rhyperior, but I still don't think they needed a forfeit. We're up against another Talonflame, though. Ugh. Okay. Do I go with the same approach here? Oh, it's just like... The thing is, they have... Actually, I think we can get away with Noivern Rhyperior here because they don't have that much that actually threatens Rhyperior with a one-hit KO other than Talonflame Urshifu. But Talonflame Urshifu, if you're Water Urshifu, does pretty poorly into Dusclops. So I'm going to just go for Noivern Rhyperior with Vanillux and I think Urshifu in the back for this one. Let's try it out. We've gone up against a lot of Talonflames. I actually saw a comment in this comment section the other day asking why run the... Noivern over Talonflame, and that's because this Noivern is actually designed to Dynamax and do a lot of damage, whereas Talonflame will probably give you a guaranteed Tailwind turn 1, but then that's pretty much it. It's super, super frail. It doesn't do as much damage as Noivern, and doesn't get as much coverage, whereas Noivern is actually a really strong Dynamax threat, so yeah. But the prevalence of all these Talonflames means that we can't as easily lead with the Noivern. That being said, in this one, like there isn't something that immediately threatens the both of our Pokemon. Plus, I think it's actually possible my opponent leads Chandelure to try to imprison Dusclops. So I think I feel a little bit more comfortable leading Noivern and Rhyperior here. It's Clefable Kommo-O. Okay. Clefable Kommo-O. The Frisk here is super nice. Babiri and Throat Spray. I mean, I feel like this is just Tailwind Earthquake turn 1, because then I bring in Vanillux. Yeah, I mean, Talonflame didn't come out. That's exactly what I want to see. So, yeah, I think we just Tailwind Earthquake here. We could Dynamax Noivern, but no, I really like Tailwind Earthquake here, because we get so much damage off. And then my opponent just has no switch-ins into, like, Blizzard afterwards. And they don't even Dynamax, which makes sense. Probably going for Clanging Scales. So I wonder if Band DQ just knocks out here. I doubt it. I would think it does like 70%-ish or so. That's my guess. But I haven't gone up against Kommo-O in a very long time. So I don't know this calc super well. Yeah, actually a little bit less. Around like 60%. But they went for Clangorous Soul instead of Clanging Scales, which is really bad news for them. Yeah. They have the speed boost, so I wonder if they outspeed the... I mean, I think we just Dynamax here and we just Airstream EQ. Yeah. That was a really, really risky Clangorous Soul, but I guess what they were hoping for was that I wouldn't go for an Earthquake, you know, expecting maybe a Dynamax there. So this is once again the power of Choice Band Rhyperior, just does so much damage immediately. I'm still thinking about that first game. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, you know, players maybe just don't want to play anymore. But I definitely think my opponent could very likely still have won that game, given that we didn't know their 4th Pokemon. And given that Delmice had taken all that damage, it was at -1 attack. Like, I don't think they needed to give up. But this game should be a wrap, to be honest, because we have the ultimate speed control right now. The Airstream means that Rhyperior will outspeed things, even if my opponent sets up to Tailwind. A Tailwind with, like, Talonflame later on. Kommo protects, but we're just going to pick up a knockout through Protect. Unless they went for Protect, Follow Me. Oh, they actually went for that. Wow. Okay. But we still get a speed boost here with Noivern. So it's like, even if you bring in the Talonflame and Tailwind, my Noivern will just outspeed your Kommo anyway. So, yeah. Pretty cool to see Follow Me Protect, though, because if they didn't go for the Follow Me, I would have just KO'd through the Protect. So if Talonflame comes out, then I'm just going to switch the Rhyperior out and just Airstream into Kommo. Yeah, because now we're at +1 speed with Tailwind up. And don't forget, I also have the Vanillux in the back. So Vanillux is free to just click, you know, Blizzard. In fact, even if Talonflame comes out, which it does, I might just stay in with Rhyperior. No, we should switch out here, right? +2 speed, 2 turns of Tailwind. He's at +2 special attack, but I don't really care about that. I think we just go for another Airstream onto Kommo-O. And we switch out into Urshifu here. Yeah, Urshifu's a great switch in. I give that a speed boost as well, which is nice. I don't think Talonflame really has any reason to target the Rhyperior slot with the Brave Bird, so it's a relatively free switch in. It's exactly why I wanted to max Airstream last turn, to get the speed boost. Because speed control is just so important, especially with this team. So, let's see. Pretty cool to see a Kommo-O, though. I know Moxie Boosted has been playing around with it, or was playing around with it, like, earlier, but I haven't really seen it in this format, and I don't really know what it does. So, I'm surprised my opponent didn't try to just go for damage on turn 1. But the thing is, even if they did, I would have just brought in Vanillux and clicked Blizzard a bunch. So, I think this wasn't that scary of a matchup, as soon as Talonflame doesn't come out as a lead. So, making the little gamble there did end up working out. Talonflame just goes for Tailwind. That's to be expected. For that reason, you know, that's why I'm Airstreaming. So now, you know, Noivern's at +2 speed, and I have Tailwind up, and Urshifu gets the speed boost. So we're just going to outspeed this subsequent turn anyway, and they can't even Protect. And this is exactly like the late game position you want to set yourself up for with the Noiverns. Or sorry, not the Noiverns, with the Urshifus, where now Urshifu has a speed boost, so pretty much outspeeds everything. And with its ability, I can just, you know, attack through any Protects. So Noivern's been fantastic for us in this game, as Chandelure is the last one. I mean, probably have to Dynamax. I guess you could Dynamax Talonflame and Airstream into Urshifu. But we have the Koba, so we'd survive anyway. Both of these kind of hard lose to Rhyperior, but Chandelure at least could maybe have... what was I going to say? I mean, I think you Dynamax Chandelure here. I'm going to just double up onto Chandelure. Actually, I don't think we need to double up onto something here. If we just target both slots, that should be game over. So I'm going for a third Airstream here, just because if they go for a max Airstream, like if they actually Dynamax Talonflame and max Airstream, like with the third Airstream, it means I'll just outspeed for sure. So, yeah, I mean, we're in a fantastic shape right now. We haven't really even taken any damage. I would think you Dynamax the Chandelure here, but the only way we could lose this game is if we double up into something protecting. Something max guarding specifically, because Urshifu avoids the protects. And it is going to be Talonflame Dynamaxing, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, you know, not typically the strongest Dynamax option, but it makes a lot of sense here. That being said, I don't even think Airstream knocks out the Urshifu, so let's see. That's why I was thinking about doubling up on the Chandelure, but if Chandelure does Dynamax and max guards as Talonflame Airstreams, or sorry, not Airstreams, Brave Birds, then, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, because we have Rhyperior as our last one, but let's see. Chandelure gets the speed boost now, but Urshifu had our speed boost earlier, which is why I wanted to switch it in there, and we're going to go for the Airstream before Chandelure can even move, so it guarantees that we outspeed, and it was not focused at Chandelure, so we just get a one-hit KO. Nice. So, yeah, this is why I used Noivern over Talonflame. Noivern just does so much damage. I didn't think that would one-shot Chandelure, though, I have to say. I'm a little surprised about that, but we take those. Surging Strikes looks like it's pretty close to a knockout. Let's see, that first one did just around, like, 40%, but it looks like it's just going to fall short. Oh, super close. Not bad, though. Not bad. Can't complain about that damage output. So Tailwind's gone now, but I'm at +3 speed right now. However, Talonflame's at +1 with the Tailwind, but obviously it doesn't really matter at this point. Like, my opponent just gave up way too much on turn 1. Like, and that's why setup can be really, really difficult in VGC, where you have to really ensure that you can get it off. And yeah, with the spread damage here, it's just really difficult. Plus, we had speed control anyway, so it's like even if Kommo-O got, you know, didn't take any damage that turn, like I would still be faster going into the second turn because I had Tailwind. So that's just once again why speed is so important in the game. So not bad, but really cool team from my opponent's end for sure. We did have to, you know, make a call there and lead the Noivern play, because I do think if I just led like Dusclops, the Kommo-O can just go for that, you know, like Dusclops Urshifu, which is normally my lead against Talonflame stuff. You can just get it set up with the Kommo-O and sweep through me. So that's why I didn't want to lead too passively, because Kommo-O can capitalize off those passive leads a lot. We're 3 for 3 on Talonflames today. Jeez. Okay. Well, this one has a Primarina once again, so I don't know if I feel super comfortable with what I've been going with. Oh, man. What are the odds? It's also, I have to wonder if it's Scrappy Kangaskhan. But I think we gotta go Urshifu Dusclops again with Dhelmise again. It's always between Rhyperior and Vanillux, but I think Rhyperior is fine here. Actually, I mean, my opponent's team is pretty Ice Weak. Bringing Vanillux gives me a Freeze Dry and a Primarina. Breaks any Sashes and Gale Wings as well. But they don't have a single Rock Switch in. Like, Choice Band Rock Slide just does so much damage into that team, so let's go with that. Talonflame galore today, though. I mean, not surprising to see, especially because, like, Talonflame is just one of the easiest Pokemon to throw onto a team if you're running hyper-offensive stuff. Like, you just click the Tailwind button turn 1, right? And with Gale Wings, it's pretty difficult to stop. So, not a surprise to see it, but I didn't think we'd play 3 in a row. So let's see if we can beat this one as well. If we get Trick Room up, we're going to be in pretty good shape. It's going to be Kangaskhan and Butterfree. Okay. So I get to find out the items here, which is nice. Maybe Scarf on Butterfree? Sash. Silk Scarf. Oh, man. It's definitely going to be... Okay. It's definitely going to be the Last Resort stuff again, right? With Scrappy. So I'm expecting Scrappy Fake Out into Dusclops turn 1. Oh, but then I would get Surging Strikes off here, right? Surging Strikes and Willow, like, because I don't even necessarily need Trick Room right now. So I'm actually just going to Surging Strikes Will-O-Wisp turn 1. I think my opponent goes Fake Out Sleep Powder here, but let's see. Yeah, they Fake Out Dusclops. I would think Surging Strikes KOs Butterfree. Obviously, we know it has Sash, so it's the best play to go for here. Nice. Okay. I'll take that. Another Kangaskhan. I mean, I don't think we actually confirmed that the last Kangaskhan we went up against was Silk Scarf, but that item would make the most sense, right? Because you're only running Fake Out and Last Resort. I could probably actually calc it to see the Fake Out damage, but given that it's Scrappy, yeah, it's definitely the Last Resort stuff that we've seen previously. This is fine, though. I mean, we get a free knockout on a Butterfree, which is good. Urshifu's putting on a lot of pressure, which is great. Noivern Rhyperior would have been pretty sick here, though. Okay, Sylveon comes out. That's fine. I mean, can't I just close combat here and Trick Room? That seems fine. Unless close combat doesn't one-shot the Kangaskhan. I guess you could... I was going to say Dynamax Kangaskhan, but that would seem crazy. Okay, nice. Yeah, we just get the KO there, so if you Hyper Voice, now I get a free switch into Dhelmise. And we're in great shape, right? It's just Hyper Voice. Great. So I want to see Hyper Voice here. It gives me a free Trick Room switch in as well. I wonder if that's Spec Sylveon. That did a lot of damage. So let's think about what my opponent could have in the back. Primarina, Talonflame, Darmanitan. Primarina, Talonflame, Darmanitan. So I think we probably want to go out into Dhelmise. Because if you go Talonflame or the... I would think it's Primarina as the last one. Yep. Okay. So Primarina being the last one, we should be in very good shape. Yeah, I think the play I'm leaning towards here is Max Overgrowth, Nightshade into Sylveon. Pick up the knockout onto that. I mean, the only question is if Primarina has a water type attack. I also could just protect this turn and Pain Split. Maybe I should play a little safer. No, I want to make the most out of my max though, right? Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna... Oh, oops. Yeah, I want to Overgrowth into Sylveon here. And Nightshade into that slot too. Actually, we should Pain Split. Yeah. I think Primarina Dynamax is here. If it doesn't have Hailstorm, there's nothing really my opponent can do. If it has Hailstorm, the game gets a little bit more interesting, but it shouldn't one-shot the Dhelmise anyway. The only reason I wanted to Pain Split there is because I'm scared about Primarina being pretty slow and then outspeeding Rhyperior under Trick Room. If that's the case and it does max Geyser into Dusclops, we're in kind of bad shape. I'm not targeting the Primarina here because I'm not going to knock it out anyway. If I can force the 2v1 in this game, it should just be over. Like I said, I think that Sylveon damage is Choice Specs. It looked like it. So if it is Specs, then we should just be able to pick up a knockout onto it. It can't protect. Yeah, let's see. And they max guard. Okay, perfect. Well, that should secure us the game then. Nice. I don't know if it was Choice Specs. Like, I can't say that with 100% confidence, but I don't know. Hyper Voice did a ton of damage into Dusclops there. And even if it's not Specs, like, yeah, I think in that position, you recognize that, you know, Dhelmise obviously completely beats the Primarina super, super hard. So, nice. Okay, so we get a knockout onto that. I mean, that should just secure us the game. There's nothing my opponent can really do now. We can just Nightshade Overgrowth into Primarina. So, yeah. That's why leading Urshifu was super important here. Being able to outspeed the Kangaskhan and the Butterfree was huge. And we were able to just pick up 2 big knockouts onto both of those. So, it's pretty tricky. I think this is one where the lead just gave us such a big advantage. Now, I think one play my opponent could have made was potentially go for Fake Out onto Urshifu, and then Sleep Powder with the Butterfree. Because then, even if I Dynamax the Urshifu, I can't one-shot either of your Pokemon. Or I can one-shot the Kangaskhan, but I can't one-shot the Butterfree because obviously your Butterfree has Choice Scarf. Sorry, Focus Sash. So with that Focus Sash, you get a Sleep Powder off. That'd be a really big deal onto either of the Pokemon. So that's the nice thing about Dusclops Urshifu, where the Urshifu does often put on so much offensive pressure, your opponent feels forced to kind of target that slot and make plays around it. But at the same time, if you don't target the Dusclops, then the Dusclops can just get a Trick Room, and then you're in really bad shape. So that played out even better for us because it's like we got a free knockout and got the free switch in as Trick Room was set up. This is a super sick team for the last game today. And one thing I will say about, you know, the fun thing about playing with hyper offense teams like this one is just like games go by quickly, so we can get like even 4 games in one episode, which is nice. So obviously there's beat up stuff here. I'm going to say I don't really know Salazzle's moveset very well, so I'm kind of scared about that. I'm actually going to just quickly double check. Because Weavile is base 125, I believe. It is, yeah. And Noivern here's max speed for us is base 123, so that's actually a really big problem. Oh, man. I feel like Weavile is actually an awful matchup here. Because it has super effective into almost everything. So what in the world do we do against it? Like, our goal should be to set up Trick Room? I have no idea what we do here. This looks so bad. Like, Weavile is just the problem here. Because I don't have anything that outspeeds it. And Cobalion puts on so much offensive pressure. I think it might be to try to set up Trick Room, so Urshifu Dusclops again. Dhelmise and just Rhyperior. The problem here is I don't think I can set up Trick Room that easily. They've got a Weavile. That alone is super bad. Like, beat up alone actually does damage into us as well, so I don't know. This was a tough one, because I can't, once again, I just can't lead Noivern Rhyperior, because Weavile just completely dunks on that, unless you're not Jolly Weavile, but I don't think you'd be Jolly. Okay, it's Amoonguss Primarina. Is that okay for us? I mean, it's better than seeing Weavile, I guess. But it's also not that great, because you can just Moonblast into Urshifu, Focus Sash, and Expert Belt. Okay. I mean, I'm thinking Spore goes out into Dusclops right now. Okay, so this is what we actually do. We're just going to Detect and Hard Switch out into Dhelmise. Yeah. The reason we're Detecting here, I'm not going to do any damage with my Urshifu anyway. Dhelmise is a super good switch, and as you see, Dhelmise is like an amazing counter to Primarina. That being said, we haven't gone up against like Max Hailstorm Primarinas yet, but yeah. So if they're just going for Moonblast Spore here, like that's fine. Oh, they have Dazzle. Okay. Because now we have the Dhelmise out in a really good spot, right? Jeez, that did a lot. That did a lot of damage, I have to say. Okay. I feel forced. Like, there's no way Primarina stays in here, right? I would think it protects or you switch out as you Spore into Urshifu. I don't have another Spore switch in, so might have to let Urshifu get put to sleep. But I think Primarina's not attacking this turn. So we can Rock Slide, because if we get a flinch, that would be huge. Should I Dynamax here? The reason to not Dynamax is because I think Primarina protecting is really likely, but I'm still going to go for it, because I don't think I'm going to Dynamax Rhyperior in this game anyway. But it's not great. I think Phantasm also would have made sense onto Amoonguss if I'm reading Primarina protecting here. Yeah, it also gets a defense drop, which maybe puts the Amoonguss... I mean, we have Rhyperior in the back, though. So if we knock out the Primarina, it paves the way for Rhyperior a little bit more. This was just a tricky matchup, though. Okay, they don't protect, though. So we should knock out Primarina. We even potentially can flinch here, which would be really nice. No flinch on Primarina. Gets the Gleam off. And that's a KO on Urshifu. Okay. All things considered, though, that's fine, because I was expecting the Primarina to protect, so now I take less damage, and I get the KO onto that slot. So, could have been worse. I think we bring out the Rhyperior now, because we have Choice Band Rock Wrecker, and we should outspeed the Amoonguss. So, we can Rock Wrecker, and then just attack whatever's coming in with the Dhelmise. It is Timid Amoonguss, though, so part of me is like, what if it's really, really speedy Amoonguss, like max speed Amoonguss? That'd be a problem, wouldn't it? Either way, Dhelmise is in a pretty good spot. I mean, like, we needed to bring this specifically because of Amoonguss. Otherwise, Amoonguss was just going to give us so much trouble. I think Dusclops is just sitting like a sitting duck if I bring it out right now. Because I'm just going to get Spored into that slot, so I have to bring in Rhyperior. Because now at least I have two Pokemon that put on a ton of offensive pressure. They bring out Charizard, okay. Charizard. Oh, man. So the question is, do you have max overgrowth? Oh. Do you have max overgrowth? Because, like, the play I want to go for here is switch out into Dusclops. It's just we have Banded Rock Slide. Most players are running Quake over Overgrowth nowadays. You obviously want Fire, Air, Protect. I really want to just Rock Slide here, like Banded Rock Slide. If they target Dhelmise, we just win off that. And I'll go for a Geyser, because if they are G-Max Zard, at least I set up the rain for the last turn. They're Dynamaxing. I don't know. The problem is that we don't one-shot Charizard here with the Dhelmise. So, maybe it was a little greedy to just go for an attack here immediately. It is G-Max Zard. Actually, if they have Giga Drain and they just G-Max Wildfire into us, we're also probably screwed. Because you can just maybe pick up a double KO here, so... I don't know about this play. They go for Airstream, though, not Wildfire. But Dhelmise doesn't hang on. Why didn't they Wildfire there, though? Huh. If I just max guard Rock Slide there, I would have won, and I should have made that gamble a little bit because, like I was saying, I think they're gonna have Giga Drain anyway. So this play, oh, they make Amoonguss faster that way. That's really smart. It's really smart. Ah, well played. If I just max guard Rock Slide in there, we would have had it. It's really risky if they have Overgrowth, but because Charizard can one-shot either Pokemon at that point, I think I have to make the gamble. I think I have to. So, we could still win here if my opponent, like, doesn't expect the ban and they try to Spore into Dusclops. Yeah, I was already making the assumption they didn't have Overgrowth. Obviously, I have to Rock Slide here with Rhyperior. That was really cool to get the speed boost. And I was like, why not run Wildfire? But that's exactly why. So you get the guaranteed Spore off. So it comes down to Amoonguss' attacking move. If it's not Giga Drain, and my opponent doesn't have max Overgrowth on Charizard, Rhyperior could actually maybe still pull something off here. But we would need an early Wake Up. If I just Max Guard Rock Slide last turn, like we knock out Charizard, Amoonguss takes so much damage, and you don't get that speed boost, so we'd probably win the game off that. And they had Max Quake, yeah. That actually one-shots Rhyperior by itself. So my opponent didn't even need an Overgrowth, actually. So then it became kind of read-based turn, but my opponent doesn't know that I'm not, like, Solid Rock Rhyperior with no defense. So, yeah. I think in that position, Max Guard Rock Slide would have been a super sick play. Yeah. But hindsight's 2020. In that position, like, there wasn't a guaranteed super safe play. If I brought out Dusclops, my opponent was just going to G-Max Wildfire and Spore me, so there's no way I can get around that. So I'm pretty much forced to bring out Rhyperior and then probably just play the 50-50 there. No, I shouldn't even be. I mean, the game's over. Yeah, if I bring out the Dusclops, then as they switch out into Cobalion, so they didn't even bring Weavile, which is really interesting because I thought that was actually the scariest Pokemon. But Amoonguss Primarina was a pretty good lead as well, especially because it was sashed. So the problem with this matchup is that my opponent also has a hyper offensive team, and their hyper offense kind of trumps our hyper offense because they have something that outspeeds everything in the Weavile. Weavile was a really big threat. Actually, kind of surprised to see it not come out, but Primarina is also a pretty big threat for this team. And so my opponent was able to nicely bait out my damage and then Dynamax the Charizard for the late game, which I thought was really well done. So the Airstream Spore play was super sick. You know, if we go for the super heart read of Max Guard Rock Slide there, then we knock out Charizard. They don't get anything out of their Dynamax, and we get a ton of damage onto Amoonguss, so we most likely win off that because then we still have one more turn of Dynamax with Delmise, and Cobalion Amoonguss is not going to cut it against the Delmise there. So yeah, but I thought my opponent played that really nicely, and that's kind of it goes to show some interesting things about Team Preview, right? I was so scared about Weavile that I was trying to outlead it, but my opponent didn't even end up bringing it. So that's kind of the mind games that you can cause where, for my opponent's perspective, they're like, okay, you kind of need to lead something to beat Weavile because otherwise I'm just going to destroy you, right? So, you know, given that my opponent did lead Primarina, Amoonguss, like I could have gone Noivern Rhyperior and then like Airstream Quake turn 1. Sorry, Airstream Earthquake. Yeah, Earthquake. But the Sash on Amoonguss makes things really tricky in this matchup as well, because even if I lead Noivern Rhyperior, I don't feel super confident. So I think Amoonguss is definitely a pretty tricky Pokemon to play around for this team, mainly because the goal normally against the teams that can outpace you is to set up Trick Room, but Amoonguss kind of puts a stop to that. And with it having a Focus Sash, it means we have to get 2 attacks off to knock it out. I don't know if we can really do that very easily or effectively. So I thought my opponent played that really nicely, and the items made it a little bit more tricky as well. But, you know, we were in a position to win where if I just call the Charizard targeting Delmise there, we'd have it. But it's a tough prediction to make, especially because Quake or Overgrowth actually one-shots the Rhyperior there. But like I said, my opponent probably is expecting Rhyperior to be a little bit bulkier. This one's obviously not because it's on a fast offensive Tailwind team. But if they're expecting to be a little bit bulkier, they probably don't, and they don't have max Overgrowth, and they don't think they're going to one-shot the Rhyperior. The Airstream Spore play makes a lot of sense. So I needed to read into that. But, you know, those plays are, I think, a little bit harder to like, aggressively predict because we're kind of playing from, I mean, it's like we're playing from behind what it feels like because my opponent's attacking first, and then it's all about target selection there. But I really like their decision to conserve the Dynamax for Charizard, actually. I thought that was really smart because we ended up Dynamaxing Delmise, and the best Pokemon to Dynamax to beat Delmise on the opposing team was definitely that Charizard. So, yeah. Either way, that's going to be it for this episode, and that is going to conclude our time with this team. So, thank you as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.